The sky above the alien city shimmered with colors that no human eye had seen before. Crystals rose from the ground like towers, reflecting the light in brilliant patterns. The air was thick with energy, vibrating faintly with the pulse of the city's technology. Humans had long observed this world from a distance, calling it Auroria, but only a few had ever set foot here. Among them was Captain Alex Hunter, a human soldier sent on a mission of observation. He was careful, alert, and ready for anything, yet nothing could have prepared him for what was about to happen. Lyria, the alien noblewoman, moved through the streets of her city with a grace that made heads turn. Her long silver hair shimmered like liquid moonlight, and her eyes glowed faintly with a pale blue hue. She was the kind of beauty that made even the most composed of aliens pause for a moment. But Lyria was more than just beauty. She carried herself with authority and confidence. Today she was on a diplomatic mission, negotiating with leaders from other districts. Her guards surrounded her, tall and armored, moving in perfect synchrony. The city was quiet in a deceptive way. The hum of energy seemed ordinary, but danger lurked where no one expected it. From the shadows between the towering crystal buildings, creatures unknown to the alien guards waited. Their forms were strange and fluid, with limbs that moved faster than the eye could follow. They were predators that struck suddenly and without warning, and today they had chosen Lyria as their target. The first strike came without sound. One of the guards raised an alert, but the creatures were already upon them. Chaos erupted. Crystals shattered under the impact of claws and energy blasts. The guards fought valiantly, but there were too many attackers and the attack was too sudden. Lyria's heart pounded. She had been trained for diplomacy, not for survival in a direct attack. Her guards hesitated, unsure whether to fight or retreat. Alex, observing from a distance, saw the danger instantly. He had trained for chaos, for situations where hesitation could mean death. Without thinking twice, he sprinted toward Lyria. His boots barely touched the glowing surface as he dodged falling debris and shards of crystal. The alien guards glanced at him in surprise, but they were frozen, unsure whether to act. Alex reached Lyria just as a creature lunged at her from the side. He grabbed her arm and pulled her back, rolling away from the creature's snapping claws. She gasped, eyes wide with shock. Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Name's Alex Hunter. I'm here to observe your city, but right now we need to get you out of danger," he said, keeping his eyes on the predators. He wasn't boasting. He simply acted with the calm efficiency of someone who had faced life-or-death situations countless times. Lyria could hardly believe it. Her own guards, trained to protect her, were hesitating, but this human, this strange foreign being, had rushed into the fray without fear. There was something about his courage that made her chest tighten. It was not arrogance, not confidence that came from rank, it was pure bravery. "Follow me," Alex shouted. He led her through a narrow alleyway where the crystal walls glowed faintly. Behind them, the creatures screeched in frustration. The guards had finally recovered from their hesitation and began to fight. But their movements were slow, and it was clear that without help, Lyria would not have survived. Alex ducked under a low-hanging crystal and pulled Lyria along. "We need to reach a safer location," he called over his shoulder. Lyria stumbled slightly, but she kept pace with him, mesmerized by his determination. Each step he took seemed to make him more certain, more unstoppable. Finally, they reached a small clearing above the city where the energy pulse was weaker, and the creatures could not follow. Alex turned to face Lyria, slightly out of breath but unshaken. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting a mixture of amazement and confusion. Why did you do that?" she asked. Her voice was soft now, almost hesitant. No one else dared to come near. "Not even my guards," Alex shrugged, a faint smile on his face. "I don't wait to see if someone else will act. I act because it's the right thing to do." He looked at her carefully, as if weighing the importance of every word. Courage isn't about waiting for permission or status. It's about stepping forward when it matters. Lyria's mind spun. She had grown up in a world where rank, beauty, and heritage determined power. Humans were strange, unpredictable, and in some ways reckless. But Alex was different. He wasn't reckless. He was brave, skilled, and honorable. She found herself admiring him, though she could not yet understand why. The creatures, frustrated at losing their target, retreated into the shadows. The city returned to its quiet hum, but the moment had left an imprint on everyone who witnessed it. Lyria's guards finally caught up, surrounding her protectively. One of them, A tall alien named Rethar looked at Alex with suspicion. "You interfered," Rethar said, his voice low and controlled. "This is not your concern, human." Alex looked at him steadily. "It became my concern the moment she was in danger." His tone was firm, leaving no room for argument. Rethar opened his mouth to respond, but stopped. The truth of Alex's words was clear. In that instant, his courage had outshone any protocol or rank. Lyria stepped forward, placing a hand lightly on Rythar's arm. "He saved my life," she said, her voice carrying authority. "Do not forget that." Her gaze then returned to Alex. You are different from any human I have studied. Your actions, they speak louder than words." Alex simply nodded. "I do what I can. That's all any of us can do." For a long moment, the two of them stood in silence, the glowing crystals casting shifting patterns on their faces. Lyria felt a strange warmth in her chest, a feeling she had never experienced before. She had seen many heroes in stories and history, but seeing bravery in action, unhesitating and uncalculated, was something else entirely. "We should move back to the city," Alex said, finally breaking the silence. "It's not safe to linger here." Lyria agreed, but as they walked back together, she found herself stealing glances at him. His presence was commanding, not because of rank or weaponry, but because of the certainty and courage he carried. Even in a world of advanced technology and rigid hierarchies, this human had proven himself in a way that words could not describe. When they reached a secure location inside the city, Lyria turned to Alex. "I must know. Will humans always act like you?" she asked, curiosity and wonder in her voice. Alex chuckled softly. "Some will, some won't. But courage doesn't depend on species. It depends on the person." Lyria nodded slowly, absorbing his words. She realized that there was a lesson here that went beyond diplomacy or combat. Strength was not just skill, status, or beauty. True strength was about stepping forward when others held back, even when it was dangerous or uncertain. That night, as the city settled under the glow of its crystal towers, Lyria found herself unable to sleep. She thought about Alex, the human who had dared to act when no one else would. His bravery had shaken her understanding of the world. She realized that her admiration was not just for the act of saving her life, but for the courage and integrity that it represented. Alex, meanwhile, prepared his reports and observations, unaware of the impact he had made on Lyria. To him, it was simply another mission, another life saved, another act of duty. Yet for Lyria, this human had become a symbol of something extraordinary, the kind of courage that could inspire change, even in the most rigid of societies. As the first stars appeared in the sky, Lyria made a silent promise to herself. She would watch this human closely. There was more to learn from him, more to understand. In a world of structured rules and expectations, he had shown her that courage, integrity, and action could make a difference, and so, under the alien stars, a bond began to form, one forged not by politics, not by rank, but by the simple, powerful act of bravery. The day after the attack, Lyria found herself thinking constantly about Alex. Even though she had returned safely to her palace, her mind was restless. The human soldier had acted without hesitation, without fear, and without regard for rules or rank. It was a kind of courage that Lyria had never seen among her own people. She could not forget the way he had pulled her away from the creatures, how his eyes had remained calm, even in the midst of chaos. In the palace, Lyria moved through the halls with elegance and precision, but her usual confidence felt lighter, almost fragile. Her guards looked at her expectantly, waiting for instructions on diplomatic matters. But she had little interest in politics at the moment. All she could think about was the human soldier who had dared to step forward when everyone else hesitated. Later that day, Alex appeared at the palace gates. He had been invited not as a guest, but as a visitor under supervision. The council wanted to ensure he posed no threat. Lyria watched from a balcony as he approached, his steps measured and careful, yet unafraid. The palace guards gave him cautious glances, but Alex ignored their stares. His focus was on the mission, and perhaps just slightly, on the noblewoman who had been the center of the previous day's chaos. When Alex entered the hall where Lyria awaited, she felt an odd flutter in her chest. She was not used to feeling this way about anyone, let alone a human. "Captain Hunter," she said formally, yet her voice carried a hint of curiosity. "I trust your journey here was uneventful?" Alex smiled faintly, though his eyes were sharp and observant. "Nothing uneventful ever happens on Aurora," he said lightly. "But I am fine. Thank you for asking." Lyria inclined her head. There was something in his manner, something simple and honest, that drew her attention. Unlike the alien nobles, who often spoke in careful, polished phrases, Alex's words were direct. They carried meaning, not pretense. Over the next few hours, Lyria began to talk with Alex. At first, she was careful, testing the limits of human understanding. "How do humans face danger?" she asked. "Back on Earth, would people always act as you did?" Alex considered this. "Humans are not all the same," he said. "Some run, some freeze, some act. But the ones who act, the ones who step forward even when it's risky, they are the ones who change things. That's what courage is." Lyria absorbed his words, fascinated. In her world, status, beauty, and tradition often determined action. Few had the freedom to act purely from instinct and morality. Alex, however, had no such constraints. He acted because it was the right thing, not because of expectation or honor. It was remarkable. As the day progressed, Lyria insisted on showing Alex parts of the city few outsiders had seen. They walked together through the crystal gardens, past towers that hummed with energy, and across bridges that sparkled under the alien sun. Lyria spoke of her responsibilities, her people, and the delicate balance of politics that governed their lives. Alex listened attentively, occasionally asking questions, not to challenge her, but to understand. "You see," Lyria said quietly, "many of my people fear change. They fear anything that challenges tradition. But you challenge it without even trying. You act as if rules do not bind you." Alex shook his head. "I am bound by rules, but they are rules I understand. I don't act against tradition. I act when life is at stake. Rules do not matter if someone is in danger." Lyria paused. His answer resonated deeply. She had spent her life following rules and expectations, yet here was someone who measured value differently. Courage, integrity, and action mattered more than rank or appearance. She realized that humans, though fragile in form compared to her own species, could possess a kind of strength that was rare even among her people. Their conversations were interrupted by a sudden alarm. The palace sensors detected a movement. In the outer districts, rogue creatures had returned, drawn by the disturbance from the previous attack. Lyria's guards tensed immediately, preparing for battle, yet there was hesitation in their movements. Protocol dictated caution, and caution often delayed action. Alex moved forward instinctively. "We can't wait," he said. "We need to act now, or people will be hurt." Lyria's heart raced. She was torn between the safety of the palace and the instinct to follow Alex. She decided, in a rare moment of boldness, to join him. "Lead the way," she said. Together they reached the outer districts where chaos had begun. The creatures were swift, attacking buildings and startling citizens. The guards moved with precision but slowly, and the civilians panicked. Alex assessed the situation instantly, giving quick instructions. "Block that street. Help the people escape here," he shouted. His voice carried authority, not because he was a human, but because he acted decisively. Lyria followed his guidance, using her status to command the guards to take action. The soldiers were surprised. Her voice had never carried such urgency in life-threatening situations. As they worked together, Lyria noticed something remarkable. Alex did not just fight. He observed, adapted, and guided others. He encouraged cooperation, ensured that civilians were safe and never lost focus, even when creatures approached dangerously close. For the first time, Lyria realized that true strength combined courage with intelligence, compassion, and leadership. During the battle, a creature leapt at a young alien child. The guards froze again, unsure how to react. Alex did not hesitate. He jumped forward, catching the creature's limb and redirecting its energy harmlessly into the ground. Lyria watched in awe. He had saved the child without thinking twice, without considering risk or glory. When the immediate danger passed, the city was shaken but intact. Lyria and Alex stood amidst the debris, breathing heavily. The citizens looked at them with a mix of gratitude and astonishment. Word of Alex's bravery had already begun to spread, even among the alien council. Lyria turned to Alex. I have never seen anyone act like that, she admitted, her voice low. Not even among the most skilled warriors of my people. You are extraordinary. Alex smiled faintly. I'm just doing what anyone should do. If I saw someone in danger, I would hope they would do the same for me. Lyria's admiration grew. She had always believed that humans were fragile, weak, and unpredictable. But Alex had shown her something entirely different. Humans could be bold, fearless, and honorable. In his actions, he had not only saved lives, but he had also challenged her understanding of strength and courage. That evening, back in her private chambers, Lyria reflected on the events of the day. She realized that her feelings toward Alex were more than admiration. She respected him, yes, but there was also a curiosity, a desire to understand him and his ways. She wondered how humans could possess such courage and integrity. She wondered if all humans were like him, or if he was one in a million. Meanwhile, Alex wrote in his journal, noting the behavior of the alien species, their hierarchy, and their response to danger. He did not think much about admiration or curiosity. For him, this was part of his duty. Yet even he felt a quiet sense of connection to Lyria, not romantic, not yet, but an acknowledgement that their meeting had changed something for both of them. As night fell over Aurora, the city's lights shimmered across the crystal towers. The air was calm again, but Lyria could not shake the memory of Alex's bravery. She knew that life in her world would never be the same. Humans, at least this. One human had proven that courage, action, and integrity could shine brighter than wealth, rank, or beauty, and she knew that she wanted to see more. She wanted to understand how he thought, how he acted, and how he could remain so unshakable even in the face of danger. Perhaps the city of Aurora had barely recovered from the previous attack when a new danger emerged, one far greater than anyone had anticipated. From the outer edges of the crystal forests, massive creatures advanced, moving with terrifying speed and precision. Their shapes were darker, larger, and far more intelligent than the predators that had attacked before. The citizens panicked, running in all directions while the alien guards struggled to organize a defense. Lyria stood on a balcony overlooking the chaos, her heart pounding. Her people had never faced such a threat, and the council seemed paralyzed by indecision. Tradition dictated caution, and caution now meant inaction. Lyria's eyes scanned the city, searching for hope. Her gaze fell on a figure moving through the streets with unwavering determination, Alex Hunter. He had already begun organizing the civilians, directing them to safety, and positioning the guards to create defensive lines. Unlike the aliens, he did not hesitate, did not weigh protocols, and did not wait for permission. He simply acted. Lyria felt a surge of admiration and something deeper, a realization that this human soldier was not just brave, but extraordinary. She descended the stairs of her palace and joined Alex in the streets. The guards were momentarily shocked to see their noblewoman moving into the heart of danger, but Lyria's presence was commanding. She took a deep breath and addressed Alex. "Lead me," she said. "Show me how to help." Alex glanced at her, then nodded. "We need to protect the civilians first," he said.
"Form a line here.
Block that street. Help people escape to the central plaza." His orders were precise, efficient, and clear. Lyria followed them, using her influence to coordinate the guards. Together they created safe paths, guiding terrified citizens away from the advancing creatures. The creatures attacked in waves, each one more aggressive than the last. Crystal towers shook as the massive predators clashed with energy barriers erected by the city's guards. Alex moved among the chaos, directing civilians, deflecting creatures with quick maneuvers, and keeping everyone organized. Lyria watched him, amazed at how fearless he remained. Even when a creature lunged toward her, Alex was there in an instant, deflecting it and pulling her to safety. "You never hesitate," Lyria said, breathing heavily as they moved to a safer location. "I only hesitate when I don't know what to do," Alex replied calmly. "When lives are at stake, hesitation can cost everything." Lyria nodded, absorbing every word. She realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. Alex's bravery was not just physical, it was moral, strategic, and compassionate. Her admiration deepened, and she felt a stirring of inspiration she had never known. As the battle continued, a massive creature appeared near the central plaza. Its size was immense, and its movements were calculated. The alien guards froze, unsure how to respond, but Alex stepped forward. He assessed the situation in seconds, then shouted to Lyria, "We need to draw it away from the civilians. Can you help me?" Lyria nodded without hesitation. Together, they led the creature through narrow streets, using agility and strategy to keep it occupied while the civilians evacuated. Alex's actions were precise and fearless, and Lyria matched him in courage, directing guards and using her authority to inspire action. At one point, the creature lunged at Lyria. She froze for a split second, but Alex was already there, intercepting the attack. He pushed her out of harm's way, then turned to face the creature, drawing its attention toward himself. Lyria felt a rush of relief, but also an intense admiration. She had seen many warriors, many heroes in her society, but none had acted with such calm and daring. The battle raged on, but slowly, Alex and Lyria's combined efforts began to turn the tide. Civilians were safe, the guards were coordinated, and the creatures were being driven back. Alex's courage inspired everyone around him, alien and human alike. Even the council, watching from their tower, could no longer deny the power of his actions. Finally, the largest creature was cornered near the edge of the city. Alex signaled to the guards to create a controlled energy trap. The creature struggled, but the combined efforts of humans and aliens held it in place. With a final coordinated strike, it was subdued. The remaining creatures fled, sensing the strength of the defenders. Silence fell over the city. The citizens emerged from their hiding places, their faces filled with awe and gratitude. Lyria turned to Alex, her chest tight with emotion. You saved us all," she said softly. Alex shook his head. "We saved them together." "You helped too. Courage isn't just one person, it's everyone who acts when it matters." Lyria's eyes shone. She had learned a lesson far beyond strategy or politics. True strength was not measured by rank, beauty, or tradition. It was measured by courage, integrity, and the willingness to act. And in Alex, she had seen the very best of humanity. The council formally recognized Alex's heroism, offering him honors and praise. Yet he remained humble, refusing to let titles define him. Lyria watched him, realizing that his actions had done more than save lives, they had changed perceptions. Her people had seen that courage could come from anyone, even a stranger from another world. Later, in a quiet moment away from the crowd, Lyria approached Alex. The glow of the city reflected in her eyes, mixing curiosity, admiration, and something deeper. "I must ask," she said, "how can humans be so brave? So fearless?" Alex smiled faintly. "Fear is normal. Everyone feels it. The difference is whether you let it control you or guide you. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to act in spite of it." Lyria nodded slowly, understanding. She realized that she had been too bound by rules and expectations, too focused on appearances and protocol. Alex had shown her a new way, one where action, heart, and integrity mattered most. In the following days, Lyria began working closely with Alex. She studied his methods, observing how he assessed situations, made decisions, and inspired others. She began to implement his approach among her own people, encouraging guards and citizens to act with initiative and courage. Slowly, the city changed, not just in safety but in spirit. Courage became valued over rigid adherence to rules, and bravery inspired unity. Through it all, Lyria's admiration for Alex grew. She realized that humans, though different in form and culture, could achieve greatness through courage and determination, and she knew that the bond formed between them during those days of danger was unlike any other. A connection built not on status or expectation, but on shared experience and mutual respect. One evening, as the sun set over the crystal towers, Lyria and Alex stood together on a balcony overlooking the city. The air was calm, the light shimmering across the streets where life had returned to normal. Yet the memory of the battle lingered, a reminder of courage, action, and the power of one human soldier to inspire change. "You changed things here," Lyria said softly, her eyes meeting his. "Not just by saving lives, but by showing us what courage truly means." Alex looked at her, calm and steady. "I only acted when it mattered. But if people learn from it, if it inspires change, then that is worth more than any recognition." Lyria smiled faintly. For the first time, she felt that strength, courage, and heart could overcome even the greatest challenges. She realized that the humans were not merely visitors to their world. They were capable of inspiring hope, courage, and transformation. As the stars appeared in the sky above Aurora, Lyria knew that she would never forget this human soldier who dared when no one else would. His courage had not only saved her life, but had also changed her perspective forever. And in that quiet moment, she understood something profound. Courage and integrity are universal, and even in a world of rules, beauty, and hierarchy, true bravery shines brightest. The city of Aurora had survived, its people inspired, and its leaders awakened to a new understanding. And somewhere in the quiet of the palace, Lyria looked toward Alex, her admiration deepening, knowing that humans, even strangers from another world, could teach lessons that no tradition ever could. Together, they had faced the impossible, and together, they had proven that courage, action, and heart were the greatest forces of all.